How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, man. What can I do for you tonight?
So I'm a Marine in the US, and just like the past 6 months, I've kind of really been into the whole red pill, learning about the country, learning how corrupt everything is, and learning how messed up the system is.
Hmm.
And it's come to like give me a lot of doubts.
Okay.
And a lot of people, especially in the military, we're gearing up for a war against China potentially. Or if not a war in the Pacific sometime, and it could happen at any time. Just like any war, no one ever
Hmm.
knows when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And if it did, I wasn't. I'm not sure if I would be comfortable, especially if we're going to war defending Taiwan for some microchips
Hmm.
against people like I don't
Microchips
know
that are
if I
probably going to go in your car to shut it off.
exactly. So I don't know if I would be. I have a duty to myself, to my boys, and that's the biggest thing. Is like my job and my role in my unit is
Hmm.
pretty big, and I have a duty to my boys, but at the same time, I don't want to die from microchips, and I want to know what you thought about that. And I'm also like, I do want a challenge. Like the reason I
Hmm.
joined is because I want to prove, like I want to do something that like makes me a man, and proves that I'm a more than just average.
How old are you?
So 19.
You sound stronger and more virtuous than most of the guys that I get calls from. So
Thank you.
that's the upside of the military is it does make men out of boys very quickly.
Hmm. It does.
Um, the downside is, of course, you can be forced into proxy wars that you may not necessarily agree with. In fact, most vets that I know don't like war. They don't like the idea of it. They think they wasted time. They've seen friends die that shouldn't have died over something that was irrelevant. Um,
Hmm.
and like you're just fodder. Men are just disposable. But we've always been disposable. Fortunately, the good news is if you look at a timeline throughout history, and I'm not talking about like the last 100 years, but I'm talking about like the last hundreds of thousands of years where wars have been documented. We live in the most peaceful time in history, right? We just don't war as often as we have in the past. Like there was wars happening literally all the time, everywhere throughout history. This is a very peaceful time. So to your question is like, what do I think of that? Like, what do I think of it in what sense? Like,
Like
what are you asking me more specifically?
if we were to go to war and I had the choice of going or saying no, I don't want to do this, and getting,
Mhm.
I would obviously be shamed by everyone I know besides my
Right.
family and of course those close to me, which is
Mhm.
all that really matters to me. But I'm wondering what would you do in that situation?
It's interesting because I wanted to sign up for the Royal Air Force when I was a kid. When I was 18, I wanted to fly the Harrier jump jets. Falkland War was kind of happening just around that time, a few years earlier, actually. But yeah, I just don't endorse it today. It's the same thing like with policing. Like I don't endorse men getting into policing. They hate you. You're always racist. You can't do anything right. If you move the wrong way, if you touch your gun, then you got to write 3 days worth of reports. There's a lot of conventionally masculine roles that men have filled, like over the last several decades that I've watched that have deteriorated to the point where I don't think that I'd want to participate in that. So that's a choice that you got to make for yourself. I mean, if I was 19, maybe you took what you need from it and you form the friendships and the brotherhoods. But if they said to me, oh, we're going to go and pick a fight with China, for me personally, I'd be like, have fun, go. I'm
Yeah,
not interested. I don't want to fight your stupid war. I don't care.
yeah.
Right. But that's
That's
just
how
me.
I feel as
Like,
well.
like I'm more of a libertarian. I don't want to get involved in other people's problems. Like what
Hmm.
happens on the other side of the world doesn't affect me. But there's people that argue, oh, it does affect you because if you don't stop it over there, then it's going to come over here. I think our bigger problems are more domestic.
Yeah.
It's not what China's doing to Taiwan or whatever. Like, I've watched a lot of documentaries on the conflict between Taiwan and China, and the differences they have. And realistically, if China is going to take Taiwan, they have to do it in the next 4 years, right?
Exactly.
They can't wait 10 or 20 years. Like they won't have the industry, they won't have the people, they won't have the means to wage that war and win it. They would have to do it in the next 4 years. So if they're smart and they're going to do it, it's coming soon. But
Hmm.
is it worth it to them? I don't know. I don't know. Like I don't know what
Right.
their policies are. I don't live there. I don't think the way they did. But the thing that you got to remember, I was watching this other video. their leader, Xi Jinping, I'm pronouncing it, completely wrong. You got to remember, this was a guy that grew up in a remote village where people starved under the old version of Chinese communism. And if you're going to try to tell an old man that grew up in an environment like that what to do, you like he doesn't care about the states, doesn't care about their ability to wage war. He doesn't care about how many aircraft. Guys like that just don't care, right? So if they want something, they're going to go and take it, and it's going to be messy. I don't know that I'd want to. It's just going to be messy. It's not something that I would want to be a part of.
Right. Yeah. The first people who were there. I mean, I'm in the infantry. I'm in the front lines. I know the first people who are going to be there are going to be quite literally cannon fodder. There's going to be drone strikes. Like, you won't make it to the beach. There won't be a Normandy beach.
No,
nowadays.
Technically, Taiwan is China's property. Like, if you look at the historical records and the way that they related to Taiwan, Taiwan is China, right? So,
right.
I don't know. It's it's going to unfold the way that it's going to unfold. What am I going to do? What are you going to do to change that? Do you want to put yourself in an environment where there's a fairly decent probability that you're probably going to die, right, over something that you don't really care about because some guy over there in some glass, some ivory tower said that we have to go do that because if we can't let them get away with that, that's just wrong. That's just me, though.
Right. The biggest part for me is just my manlyhood. Like, it would be like having to.
That's where they'll get you.
Exactly. I know, but that's part of the psyop that they drill into your head when you join. Yeah. So I'm trying to escape that right now, but I very, very much appreciate talking to you. This is very good for me.
You got it, man. You have a good night. I really hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full-length podcast, you can find that over here, that clip's from. If you're newer to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe over here. And pinned down below in the top comment, you'll find a bunch of useful links to my website, my supplement line, books, and a bunch of other stuff. Have an amazing day. Peace out.